Hello everyone, Mason here. How are you doing? Today it's time for a book review. Hypothesis. The popularity of my opinion will be directly proportionate to the popularity of the book that I am reviewing. If lots of people love the book and I don't agree, my opinion will not be as popular. Today's review is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Now I want to start off by saying that considering it's her debut novel, Ali Hazelwood did a genuinely good job with The Love Hypothesis. If this is what she's given us to start off with, I think we're in for something really good down the line. This is a fake dating contemporary romance that centres around Olive and Adam. Olive is a 26-year-old PhD student researching early detection methods for pancreatic cancer, and Adam is a 34-year-old professor who works at her university and has a bad reputation. It's always nice when authors write what they know, when they pour their own experiences into their stories, and Ali Hazelwood did that here. She's got a background in academics and she knows this setting, which makes everything that Olive goes through feel more real in my opinion. I thought the strongest part of the Love Hypothesis was actually everything surrounding the struggles that Olive goes through to get ahead in a male-dominated field. The way she feels about herself, the way she's perceived by others, how much harder she has to work to get noticed, and the power dynamics that she's fighting against. Unfortunately, and I don't think I'm going to be very popular for saying this, where this book falls down is the romance. The whole reason this plot happens is that Olive wants her friend On to be happy, and so, in what I would call a tragically misguided attempt to convince On it's okay to date Jeremy, a guy that Olive briefly dated, Olive embarks on a fake dating scheme. Now don't get me wrong, I like a scene that is hilariously awkward as much as the next person, but to be honest, I found the inciting incident borderline uncomfortable. Olive is a fairly smart person. She's a PhD student after all, which means that she's got to be at least a bit smarter than me, right? And yet, even I know that you don't throw yourself at the first person you see and kiss them in an attempt to trick your friend into thinking that you're on a date. I don't care what your reasons are, I don't care what your gender is. Throwing yourself at someone and forcing them into a non-consensual kiss is just pretty wrong and pretty weird. Considering the themes of sexual harassment that are explored later in the story, trivialising this inciting incident and playing it for laughs felt strange. Whilst I enjoyed the interactions that Olive and Adam have, their banter is actually quite cute, the way that the story unfolds just feels like it's following a tried and tested contemporary romance formula, which means that everything that happens is unsurprising. I feel like a lot of romances follow this formula, and that's fine when the characters are outstanding, when they really stick with you, but I didn't feel like that was the case here. Olive is smart and nice, but she definitely has main character syndrome, and as the story progresses she starts making those stupid decisions that characters in these sorts of stories always make. As for Adam, he is big and tall and good looking and muscular, and my god, Ali Hazelwood will not let you forget that because she tells you a lot. Other than that, he's supposed to have this reputation for being a miserable, grumpy dickhead, and Ali Hazelwood will tell you so many times throughout the story that he is one, but never shows you that he is. From the very beginning, he kindly overlooks Olive's highly inappropriate actions, even though he'd be well within his rights to report her for sexual harassment, agrees to fake date her with a very flimsy reason for doing so on his end, and then proceeds to be nothing but kind and supportive throughout the story. Okay, so he's supposedly hard on his students. Antagonistic and unapproachable is a phrase that you'll hear a lot if you read The Love Hypothesis, but we never actually get to see him interact with one of his students, so we don't know if he's unfair or unnecessarily brutal. From what we see, Adam is a nice guy with a slightly deadpan sense of humour who takes his job seriously. I never saw any evidence of him being an ass, despite being told over and over again that he is one. One of the things that I found pretty frustrating, if I'm being honest, is the fact that Olive is supposed to be a big fan of the romance genre. It's mentioned numerous times, and yet the way she acts, it's like she's never seen one. It was just pretty annoying because you can't have it both ways. You can't have her make multiple references to the fake dating trope and joke about how things work in a rom-com and then act like a rom-com character. Don't get me wrong, if there had been some sort of meta-humour going on and she was skillfully sidestepping the pitfalls that come up in a contemporary romance, that would have been bloody funny, but instead when the pitfalls come up, Olive just throws herself into them like some sort of suicidal lemming. At one point something happens. It's a trope that comes up time and time again in these sorts of stories, and it seemed for a moment like Ali Hazelwood was about to subvert that trope. For about 2.5 seconds I was really happy about it, and then Olive just makes a stupid decision. To be honest, the resulting facepalm almost gave me a concussion. Now, I will say that I've heard a lot of people talk about the spicy scenes in this book, and if you're a fan of the fade to black sex scene, don't pick this one up because there's a chapter and a half that's dedicated to them having very detailed, very explicit sex. A lot of people seem to have thought that it was hot, which is good for them, but I didn't agree. There was just a few things that completely took me out of the scene and made me laugh, including but not limited to Adam putting Olive's entire breast in his mouth and the overuse of the word folds, which just isn't a sexy word. It's not that I disliked The Love Hypothesis, it's just that I didn't like it that much either. It just felt pretty average. There was nothing that surprised me. Olive and Adam are good characters, but not great. Their interactions are fun and cute at times, but it's not a romance that's going to engrave itself onto my heart. I'm not going to think about it this time next year. The side characters are fine, but not particularly memorable. I will say that I found Anne a little bit annoying. She constantly forces Olive into public displays of affection for Adam to the point where I was convinced that she must know they were fake dating and trying to get them to admit it. In the end, if you're a big contemporary romance fan, this might be worth the read despite the fact that you won't find anything that you haven't seen before. It's easygoing and you'll get through it quickly. On the other hand, if you don't read this genre that much and you're only going to pick up one or two every now and again, I would definitely say that there are better choices. My question for today is this: would you rather have to walk everywhere backwards without the ability to look around, or be able to go forwards but only if you're crawling? If you've enjoyed this review, the like and subscribe buttons are just sitting there, waiting to be pressed. Now press them, or I'll pay an old man with a trolley full of shopping to cut in front of you every time you go to the checkout. If you want to get in touch, say hi and have a chat, you know where the comment section is, and the link to my Twitter can be found in the description. Thanks ever so much for spending time with me today, guys. Until next time, take care. For now, I'm off, and you should have a good one.